Hey folks, good morning, how are you? Good. Thanks very much for having me back out. I've been in front of this group a number of times over the last few years. Your group has grown quite a bit, right? Some new faces, some old faces, which is always good. My name is Rich Stanek. I am running for governor for the state of Minnesota. How many of you are happy with Tim Walz? How many of you want to see him here in November? How many of you like to see a former sheriff victim from the state capitol? Yeah. That's what I say. Yeah, I passed out a piece of literature, and I want to go over this with you because I think it's really important, right? People ask me, well, Sheriff, how did you end up getting in this race, right? And why do you think? I mean, what are you guys looking for in a governor?
Leadership.
Leadership, what else?
Common sense.
Common sense?
Reduce crime.
Reduce crime, right up my alley. What else?
Honesty.
What?
Strength.
Yeah, grace.
Strength.
Strength and grace, right? Sister would need to be mad if I didn't talk about strength, grace,
Transparency.
Good. All right. Well, let me tell you about that for a minute. So, people say, well, why'd you get in this race, Sheriff? Look, folks, when you look at the candidates for governor, and you're very astute, I know all of you are, a number of you had a chance to bend my ear this morning, and I love that one-on-one interaction. But I will say this. At the end of the day, you got to find a candidate that can also win in November, right? I mean, all the candidates kind of look alike. We all kind of sound alike. I was at a debate down in Rochester a couple weeks ago, 7 candidates on stage. By the time we got halfway through, well, we're all pro-life, we're all pro-small business, we're all pro-family, we're all this, we're all that, right? I've been endorsed 9 times as a principled conservative Republican. That means something, right? 9 times I've been endorsed in Hennepin County by all of you. And by the way, how many in this room have voted for me before? Raise your hand. Wow. I'm going to have to start working on this side. You guys aren't as high as this side, but that's okay. I know my friend Kip Carver lives, way far south, and others. And I'm also pleased to see the number of police officers, current and former, retired, in the room, because I think that means something. After 38 years of public service as a cop, 5 terms in the state legislature representing Maple Grove, Plymouth, Osseo, chairing Judiciary House Finance Committee, and then having a chance to serve with the last great governor of Minnesota and his cabinet. Who was that? No, it wasn't Jesse Ventura. No. It was Tim Pawlenty. I served for a couple of years as his Commissioner of Public Safety. Not an easy thing serving in a governor's cabinet position. I wrapped up a 25-year career with Minneapolis Police, and then I served 3 terms as the Hennepin County Sheriff. No matter at the end of the day who you support as a candidate for governor, if not myself, and I'm okay with that, I want you to understand about electability. Because this race is going to be about public safety and electability. You guys are all survivors just making it here to the Bloomington Event Center this morning, so thank you. And when you leave at the end of the morning, I'm happy to walk you out to your cars, either myself or Jai, the big guy. In the back of the room, raise your hand, Jai. The big guy who's running for Hennepin County Sheriff, right? Between the 2 of us, I think we can get it done. Let me talk about electability, though. 8 times I've been elected in Hennepin County. Not an easy place. The heart of the beast, right? You guys are pretty good out here in Bloomington and other parts close to here. But when you talk about CD3 and CD5, you know what I'm talking about. That is where Republican candidates for governor take their campaigns to die, right? They don't do very well. Now, I talked with some of you earlier about the last 3 election cycles where we put up a candidate for governor who passed all the tests, right? He or she, he, in this case, Tom, Jeff, and Jeff, were endorsed by the Republican Party. And they did a great job. Many of you voted for him. Many of you gave money to his campaign. Many of you supported him for endorsement. Nothing wrong with him as a candidate, but the candidate has to be able to win at the end of the day. You guys want to win? Yeah. Or you just want to be out in the field and play? Which one is it?
Win.
You want to win, right? So you look for somebody who can actually win. If you can win in Hennepin County, CD3, and CD5, and leverage the votes out of Hennepin County, along with the rest of this great state, we can win in November.
1 minute.
Thank you. 1 minute. Jeff got 29% of the vote in Hennepin County last election cycle, 29%. I normally got 68, 70, and 72%. I know that because Kip, my former major in the sheriff's office, kept me on track. And he worked hard on my campaigns. But just think about that spread. Even on my worst day, I got 50% of the vote out of CD3 and CD5. Do you believe that there are 72% Republicans in Hennepin County? No, of course not. So how did you do it, Sheriff? How did you get 72% of the vote in Hennepin County? You brought over independents, you brought over some Democrats. Why? Because I was born and raised here. Born and raised. Went to school here. Raised my family here. My wife Sally of 38 years. Now going on 39. Always look forward, never look back, as she reminds me every single day. But working in the black churches, working in the schools, working in the neighborhoods. When they needed help, they called me. And so I just wanted to tell you, thank you for having me here this morning. You can go to my website, StanekForGovernor.com, and it'll tell you all you want to know about Rich Stanek for governor. Thanks, folks.
We have time for a question or two. Anybody have a question for Rich Stanek? Yes, sir. Gentleman right here.
Rick, are you gonna spend any time at the Moose Bar and Grill? Because that's where a lot of variety of people get gathered.
The question is he going to spend time where?
At the Moose Bar and Grill.
At the Moose Bar and
You
Grill.
know what that is? No, come on. The Moose Bar and Grill is in northeast Minneapolis, not far from where I grew up, right? And the Moose is one of those local watering holes, kind of like your VFW and American Legions, where you go and you talk with other friends and neighbors. I've been there. I'm going to continue to go there. Why? Because that's what I hear from real Minnesotans, hard-working Minnesotans, like my mom, who was a waitress at the bar across the street, like my father, who was a mail carrier for the U.S. Postal Service. Those are the people that matter, hard-working Minnesotans like all of you. What's the other one?
Any other question?
What about that electability question you were going to ask me? What happened to that? Who was it? Somebody on this side of the room. You don't want to know about electability?
Yeah, tell us.
You want to know about electability?
Let me ask you a quick question. Is Mark Black's up there?
I don't see him.
He was scheduled to be next week, but I haven't said, okay, you get another minute then.
All right. There you go. All right, let's talk about election integrity, is what I'm talking about, right? Election integrity. In 2006, 2010, 2014, I won the race for Hennepin County Sheriff. The first time I ran against 9 opponents. And zipping along to 2018, I ran for re-election for a 4th time as Hennepin County Sheriff. I lost that election by 0.04%, less than 1/2 of 1%. 535,000 people across Hennepin County voted in that election. But hear this, folks. How many cities in Hennepin County? 45. How many cities in Hennepin County voted for Rich Stanek in 2018? 44 out of 45. Yet somehow I still lost an election where I was getting 68, 70, and 72% of the vote, and I lost by 1/2 of 1%. We quickly identified 4,000 people who voted in that 2018 election, in my sheriff's election, who were ineligible to vote. They were either dead, which disqualifies them, right? They were currently in prison, happy to do it, right? Happy to put them in prison. Or C, they were illegal immigrants, they weren't allowed to vote in this country. We identified 4,000. And I went to the judge, 10 days after my election, I had to file the order. And the judge said, well, Sheriff, here you got 4,000 votes, right? 4,000 people. Which one of these 4,000 votes belong to which one cast their vote, right? So which one belonged to Mary, Bob, Joe, and Bill? And why do I ask that? Because we don't have voter ID. We don't have photo ID when you come in the front door of the polling places. We don't have provisional ballots. So even though I identified 4,000 people that voted in my election that were ineligible to vote, how do I connect which of those 4,000 votes to which voter, and how did they vote actually in the election, right? So game over. Even if I wanted to challenge the election, to what end? That is the problem with Minnesota's election integrity and what we currently have. If I become governor, I will work hard on this. Believe me, I'm an old homicide detective, 20 plus years, right? I know where the bodies are buried and I know how to dig them up. Been doing it for years, right, Kip? Yeah, we'll get to it. All right, Bill, thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here, Rich.